When it comes to power stations, do you really need to spend $600 to $1,000? Or can you go on Amazon or somewhere else and pay $200 to $500 and get the same result? Today I'm testing 6 power stations, 5 of which you can get on Amazon.com. I'm going to see if you can spend less money and still power your family weekend vacations and camping trips. So stick around. So what do you see when you go to Amazon.com and type in power station? You see Jackery. Everything is Jackery. You have to scroll down to get to a non-Jackery item. You can also get Jackeries at Harbor Freight as well. Now, I love Harbor Freight. Those of you that watch my videos, I absolutely love Harbor Freight stuff. I've been using it for a long time, but I am not a fan of the way that they are marketing or showing Jackery power stations on their website. So for example, this is a 500 watt power station that the very first line of it is 1000 watt. I know it says peak power afterwards, but that's not what people see when they're looking at it. They're like, oh, 1000 watt power station, $550. That's not true. It is a 500 watt power station. I'm going to take them out in the real world, use them, give them to my friends, run their motorhomes, run their campers, run their coffee machines, run everything, and use and abuse them on several weekend camping trips, and then come back, do my specific set of tests on all of these, and then see which one comes out on top. So for me, when I go on a camping trip, the main thing that I use these for is running my fridge. So I am going to be using the Set Power AJ50 fridge. It actually has a compressor in it, and I've been using it for about 7 months now. I've taken on a bunch of four-wheeling trips since King of the Hammers, and it has worked absolutely flawlessly. We do have a discount code for you guys for the AJ style fridges from Set Power. I will leave the link in the description. I'm going to go through with you from the cheapest to the most expensive. I'm going to go through the specs, what I like and don't like about it, and the performance of them, and at the very end I'll tell you my opinion of which ones I would buy and purchase with my own money. This is the Lipower PA300. This is a 300 watt power station, 296 watt hour claimed, and this is a really nice little unit that you can get on Amazon. You can get it anywhere between $169 and $199. So $199 full price. You can get them on sale, just wait for it. I see them all the time. We have 2 AC inputs on the front. We got our 3 USBs, 2 DC inputs, and our USB Type-C input on this side right here. This side we have our DC input charging and our fan. It's pretty simple, it's very basic. We got our light back here on the back, which I do like because it is more of a floodlight, and it has different settings, bright, can lower it down, and it's got our strobe, fast strobe, so it's not just one light that you have to point in a direction. You can actually set it down and it does flood out. The screen is very basic and simple. It just has a little battery with lines in it, and then it tells you what input or output you are using. It doesn't give you any information about input or output wattage, which on these smaller units, most of them are not going to have that. I do like this unit. It is really light. It's the lightest one at 6 pounds. This gray right here, the handle and the sides, it kind of has like a tactile feel. It's plastic, but it's soft in a way. It's hard to describe. I took it on vacation with the family. I gave it to the kids and let them charge their devices with it. I ended up charging 3 Kindles, 2 headphones, 3 Nintendo Switches with the AC inverter, so that's going to take a lot more juice than just plugging it into the DC. That's just the cable that I had. I charged my laptop, and then I charged 2 of these little tiny RC car batteries, and then that was about all it had. So it seems like charging 4 different devices with the AC really took a lot out of it. I would say this is definitely a great unit for the price, and I do like it. So this next one is the Olight Ostation. I've worked with Olight before for the last couple of years, and I really like their products. So they sent me this to test for this video. This is $199. It is basically a 200 watt power station, 230 watt hours, and this thing is 7 pounds, which is 1 pound lighter than heavier than the 300 watt one, but the housing is made of aluminum and not of cheap plastic. We got our 3 USB inputs, our USB-C input. We have 1 AC input right here and 1 DC input. The one thing this does not have is a light. Unlike all the other units, they have a light. This one does not, which really doesn't bother me because of its size, and I always have a light. I have a headlamp in my car at all times. I have a flashlight in my pocket, a flashlight in my backpack. I have at least 3 flashlights anytime I go off-road or go camping, so I'm not really worried about a flashlight on the power station itself. So the screen is very basic on this, as you'd expect for something this small. One of the best features of this that none of the other ones have, if you plug in something DC, it automatically detects that it's in there. You don't actually have to hit the button to turn DC on. So when I was testing this one, I did make a little mistake, and instead of charging 2 RC car batteries, I charged 2 cell phones. This took a lot more juice to charge this than it did those RC car batteries. So with that in mind, this one I charged 2 cell phones, 2 Kindles, 2 headphones, my laptop, and 2 Nintendo Switches. I added up all the battery capacities of these units to try and make it as even as possible. Even charging 1 less Kindle and 1 less Switch, it still was a little bit more than on the 300 watt one. After that test, I still had 2 bars left, so I charged a power bank, a small one, and a camera battery, and I had 1 bar left. Now this unit is only about 66 watt hours less than the other unit before this, and I feel that this one actually performed better. And it has an aluminum housing, which I like better. So overall, a great option for $200. We also have a discount code for Olight, 10% off. Use the code MuddyBeards. Link is in the description as well. Let's move up to the bigger power stations, which I'm doing the standardized test on all of them. For the baseline test of the 500 watt or larger units, we're going to be running this fridge for 24 hours, 2 cell phones, 3 camera batteries, boiling 2 cups of water with this 300 watt water boiler, set of headphones, and then a laptop. This is the Kingboss 500 watt power station. Now this one currently on Amazon comes in at about $329. Plastic feels cheap. There's no cover for the DC input. The buttons do feel nice though. I do like the feel of the buttons, but other than that, it feels cheap. The screen is cheap. I don't know if you can see kind of on the bottom, there's like a line here where the screen's not really like perfectly lined up in the housing here. And when they first sent me this, I charged it for the first time. It charged up to 77% and it wouldn't charge any more. I emailed them. They sent me a new one. I sent that one back to them, and this is the replacement one. There is no USB-C charger on it, and the output watts says 0% a lot when I know that it is charging, so the inconsistency of the algorithm or however it's displaying stuff on the screen, the input and output, doesn't seem to be working very well. Other chargers that I tested in this, you know, it would say 2 watts output, and this would say 0, charging the same camera battery. When I took it on the camping trip, I gave it to my buddy Jeff. He plugged his whole camper into it and ran all his lights, his fans, his heater, everything off of it. It did well. It ran the whole camper the whole night. The next morning I hooked up the 100 watt solar panel to this, and it did charge with the solar panel. It worked really well. After completing the standardized test that I set at the beginning of the video, we ended up at 12% battery left on this Kingboss power station. Also, another thing on this, I noticed after we came back from the camping trip and after the test, the USB port right here, the metal frame around the port itself is kind of split and seems to be kind of broken. So it does still work, but long term on this thing, I'm not seeing it. Even a steel at $329, I would not recommend this, and I would not buy this. Now this is the largest unit of the fleet. It is a 700 watt, 606 watt hours from Allpowers. Now this one comes in at $429. One thing to think about is this does not come with a car charger adapter, so you'll have to buy that separately, so that's $12.99, and that brings you up to $441 to get this with the same spec as far as, you know, accessories and stuff that the other ones have, which that's unfortunate. I think that should be something that comes in all of them, because I shouldn't have to buy an extra cable to charge it in my car. Now, like all of the units in this video, there's some things that I really like and some things that I don't like. There's not one unit that I'm like, wow, everything is awesome on this thing. That's just not the case on any of them that I found. Now, as far as the shape of it and the outside of it, this is by far my favorite one. It is 12.4 pounds. The outside of this, I like that it goes flat. So I can put this into the vehicle in somewhere, and I can actually stack something on top of it. This handle is pretty nice. It has this little rubber strip right here on the inside that kind of snaps it in here, and then it also makes it, you know, comfy when you're grabbing it. Now this one does have probably one of the second worst screen. It is way too small, and the information on it is not so great. There's lots of numbers on there, extra digits and stuff like that that doesn't seem to need to be there. Got our screen right here, and we have our two lights on the side. And right now I just realized that it stopped beeping when I push the buttons, because every time you push a button on this thing, every other time that I've used it, it beeps, which is one of the things on my list that I was annoyed by. Nothing in the instruction manual told me how to take the beep off or do it. I must have done it by accident somehow, or maybe it just stopped working. I don't really know, but it's not beeping anymore. Yay. Now I love it way more now, because it doesn't beep. Every time you hit a button, it beeped, and it was very annoying. This also has a Bluetooth option, so you can control this thing with your phone. I can't really think of a scenario where I would need to Bluetooth my phone to my battery pack, but you know, it's there as an option if you want to use it. So like all the other units, we got 3 USB plugs right here, 1 USB-C, we got our DC inputs, and on the other side we have our DC charger. We got our DC plug for our output, and then this one is our inputs for charging it. After completing the standardized test that I set at the beginning of the video, we ended up with 49% battery left. Surprising, considering the last one had 13% battery left. After using it a few times, when we went camping, I gave it to my buddy Dan, and he ran his camper with it. He ran his lights with it. We made coffee with it in the morning with an actual coffee pot. And it performed really well. After we got back from the camping trip, I ran it again through the whole set of tests again, and I came up with a similar result at 41% battery left. I'd say that it's pretty consistent as far as how much battery is left after that test. This unit right here, plus a 100-watt solar panel, you can get that for $500. I think that's the best bang for your buck in this whole video so far. So keep that in mind as we keep going. Now this next unit is the Oupes. I think it's Oupes. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say it. My bad. This thing is a 600 watt, and it's 595 watt hours. This one comes in at $449.99, so $450. Now this one is one of the heavier ones at 15.6 pounds, but it does have the most beautiful screen of any of them. It has the best buttons. It has the best feel of the whole front of this. It is the best. Now when I went on the camping trip for the weekend with my buddies, I gave them the other two. This one, I had not done any testing on it yet, and I used it for myself to run my whole camp for the whole weekend. So after I got home, I did the exact same test, baseline test that I did with all the other ones, and we ended up at 5% battery. So this having the most beautiful screen and the best interface of any of them, it kind of had a kind of letdown of how much battery it had left after doing the test. So I'm still torn between having something that's going to last a little bit longer as far as the battery, and having something that is like really nice. Coming in at the most expensive at $499 on this test, this is the Itehil 500 watt hour power station. Now there's some couple of different features on this that you don't see on the other one. Also, it is very large compared to the other ones, and it weighs a whopping 19 pounds. So it is super heavy compared to the other units. And one of the reasons why is it has an aluminum shell. So this thing is going to be more durable, at least this shell part, than the cheap plastic alternatives in the other units. Now this one is the very first one that I got. I've had this since February. I use it at King of the Hammers. I've been using it on camping trips, and I've been using it for a while now, and I do really like it. It has one of the better screens and displays of any of them. You won't be able to see it because when it turns on, it just turns into scramble, so I'll try and put a picture up on the screen. It has great information on the screen, watt hours, input, output. It's just really well thought out. It does have these international or universal plugs, I believe. I'm not really sure why. For me, I found that obviously I'm not going to use it here in the United States, and I found the receptacle pushing the connector or the plug into these to be kind of difficult and not very user-friendly. So this guy did the same test as all the other ones, and we ended up at 5% battery left. Also, these handles right here, they're just pins that go through here, and this thing being 19 pounds, I don't see the longevity of these. I feel like these pins and these plastic handles here are going to break at any moment when you're carrying it around, which makes me nervous considering it is the most expensive, the heaviest. The handles kind of are the least strong, I would say. The connectors, the plugins here that I don't really like, although it has one of the best screens. This one, probably for the money, I would spend my money somewhere else. When I was done with all of the testing, I went ahead and hooked all of these up to my Itahil 100 watt solar panel just to make sure that they actually will take a charge from a solar panel and that actually works. And every single one of them worked flawlessly. I had no issues charging them with the solar panel. Now, after 6 weeks of testing all of these power stations for you guys, in my opinion, this Allpowers 700 watt came out on top. I just can't look past the 28% difference in battery capacity at the end of the test, this being 41 and 49% because I tested it twice, and the next best one at 13% left and 5%. Even though this does have the screen that I like the least out of all of them, I just can't look past the battery capacity and how well it performed, and then it having the square, small, light package. Now, if I could take the screen from this one right here and transplant this interface onto this battery, this would be the best. $500. You can get this and a 100 watt solar panel similar to the one that I have, and you will be set. Now, as far as these little guys go, both of them performed really well. This one actually outperformed this one just a little bit. It's smaller, it's made of aluminum, and it's just, the quality is so much better on this one, and I think the longevity of this unit right here is going to be much longer than this one. Now, all of the power stations from Amazon that I like and I recommend, I will leave down in my Amazon store. The link will be in the description. And this Ostation from Olight, I will leave a link in the description for that. We have that discount code for 10%. Well, that's going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you found it informative. If you want to follow me on social media, I am at MuddyBeards4x4. We got a website, muddybeards4x4.com. We got shirts, stickers, stuff like that. And those of you that have been watching till the end and have been counting how many times I said unit and made a drinking game out of it, unit.